Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Brew with Matt and Mike. And in this episode, we're going to make some bold predictions about the 25-26 Wisconsin Badgers. And I'll start us off. We'll discuss whether we think Wisconsin will be over or under a 6 seed to begin with. And then we'll make some more predictions. But for me, I think we're going to be under a 6 seed. I think we're going to be better than a 6 seed. These first few games haven't shot the ball well. Lost to Oklahoma, who I think has a chance to be a really good team. They're physical, they're athletic. They have a 40th year senior Nigel Pack running the show. But I think Wisconsin will catch their footing. Will catch their stride eventually. They got some talent. It feels like they have the right puzzle pieces that will fit well with each other. The big thing, and I'll keep hammering this drum for the 40th time, is Nolan Winter needs to take a big jump from last year. If he is similar to the guy we saw last year, okay, then I think they're going to be higher than a 6 seed. If Nolan Winter takes the jump that Greg Gard, not just me, that Greg Gard thinks he's capable of taking, then I think that Wisconsin's going to be really, really good. That's the biggest thing for me. I think the other guys will do their thing. Winter is my biggest question mark, but I think they're going to be better than a 6 seed. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I actually think I'm going under. I think they'll be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Doing well in the conference. Hopefully being one of those top 4 teams in the conference as well, getting a double bye in the Big Ten tournament. That's what I see this team being able to do. As well as if Boyd clicks, Winter clicks, and this combination of Boyd, Winter, and Rapp, with Blackwell looming in the background of just being this monster that I think he can also become. I think they have a really good 4-man piece, and that 5th man can be Rhodey. It can be a lot of guys. So, they might sneak their way into a top 3 seed if they play well and click.
Yeah. So my first bold prediction that I'll make personally, I think this will be the year Greg Gard makes a Sweet 16 for the first time since 2017. It's been a minute. Badger fans are getting a little bit anxious when it comes to tournament time. They want to see a little bit deeper of a run from Gard and company, and it's not easy to win in March. It's one game, 40 minutes, anything can happen. It's not best of 7 in the NBA like it is in the NBA. But I'm gonna make my prediction. This will be Gard's first Sweet 16 since 2017, when he had a lot of Bose players still. And I think he's just due. I think he's due. I think this, as I mentioned before, the right puzzle pieces. And I just think that I think it's going to happen this year. So that'll be my next bold prediction. Mike, any bold predictions you have?
Yeah, my bold prediction is I think Coach Gard will get Coach of the Year this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to come through and get Big Ten Coach of the Year. So for me, I think Coach Gard has a chance to win Big Ten Coach of the Year this year. There is some pretty big expectations for him. I feel like he actually got robbed last year of winning that after, the predictions that were made for that team and the overachieving that they had. They came in and did a great job. So for me, I think that's actually a pretty ideal prediction for him. And looking for him to build on the success that he's had over the last few years here of continuing to bring in guys correctly. So.
All right, this one is a tough one. This is like asking where interest rates are going to go. But what do you think about Greg Gard's potential to make a Final Four? Will that ever happen? Because a lot has to fall into place. You got to be lucky. You got to stay healthy. There's a lot of things that have to happen to make a Final Four. But do you think Greg Gard will ever make a Final Four?
Yeah, I think he's got a great chance. He's had a proven track record of being successful in an era where the portal has changed everything in college basketball. And he's been able to bring in every year since this transfer portal thing has shown up. He's brought in an elite transfer. I think this year it's going to be Rapp. I think Rapp is the elite transfer he's going to bring in, but, and just building off of that, it may not be this year's team. It may be this year's team too. They got a lot of talent there. They got guys that can play at a very high level. And if they gel correctly, I think this team has the pieces to make a run. And it just kind of depends, because he's got guys on the roster that have made Final Fours before. Boyd's made a Final Four. So, Boyd can understand and kind of lead that group. And he's got some older veterans on that team that have played college basketball, been in the system. So, I think he has a chance this year to do it. Health has a big factor to it, and then just peaking at the right time. And one thing I will say is Coach Gard usually has his guys playing really well at the end of the season. I know the last couple of years there's been some, kind of fall off in the tournament. They've played really, really good teams, as well as they've kind of overcome some either injuries or shortcomings. But I think this year could be a chance. And it also really depends on matchups. Last year, them playing BYU was a really tough team. They had 3 guys that were NBA, ready, basically. Older guys that played well together. They had big point guards, and they didn't shoot the ball particularly well in the first half. And that's the other thing is that's what's so challenging about March is you can play really well all the way up until March, and then you have 20 minutes where things just didn't click right away, and the other team did, and it's over. So I think this year he has a chance, but I think overall in his pedigree, he definitely has a chance to get to a Final Four. That's really not that challenging. He does a good job with his systems, and he's bringing in the right guys that will thrive under him.
I think it's extremely challenging. I think that maybe I'm getting a little sensationalized here, and I'm too caught up in the moment, but I think this might be the year Gard needs to do it, in the sense that I don't know if Nolan Winter or John Blackwell will be back next year. And then it's like, okay, then it's highly unlikely that Wisconsin makes it in the next few years. I mean, maybe 3-4 years, the things look a lot different. But I have a hard time believing once Blackwell and Winter are gone, the year or two after, as Gard rebuilds the roster, it has to do a lot of portaling. I have a hard time believing that will be a Final Four contender. If he has those 2 back next year, maybe it'll be next year. But I really think it doesn't have to be this year, but I think this is a year where Wisconsin could make a deep run, and I think the stars are aligned a little bit for them to do so. And I hope they can capitalize. I hope they don't have a bad 40 minutes come March. And you said that Wisconsin has played well at the end of the year in recent memory, or Gard gets them playing well at the end of the year. And I agree with that to an extent. I think there's been some things out of Greg Gard's control where, like in 2020 with the Howard Moore tragedy, like they were rolling and that team looked like they were going to make a deep run in the tournament. Then you go to 21, you bring back everybody outside of Brevin Pritzel, add in a freshman Johnny to the mix, and there was just chemistry issues in that locker room. And this guy over here likely recorded a players only meeting and leaked it out to the media. And like there was just some locker room stuff that year where it was COVID. The kids, it was a tough time. They weren't too free to do what they wanted to do. And then you go to 2022, Wisconsin won a lot of close games with Johnny and Brad leading the way. Johnny sprains his ankle, but he wasn't the same guy in March that he was in January or February, November and December. 23, Wall got hurt. They were, for the talent that team had, which wasn't a ton, they were like 15th in the country or 14th in the country in January before Wall got hurt. People don't realize that Tyler Wall, before he got injured, was a dog. He never returned to that same form, but he was like a gazelle. The dude was fast. He could jump higher than anyone would give him credit for. But that sprained ankle, and he came back quickly. He never really got to that level again. And then the following year after that, you had AJ Storr, fielding offers for millions of dollars from Illinois and other teams mid-season. And that kind of sent a nuke into the locker room. But this last year, those things are kind of outside of Gard's control to a certain extent. You talk about COVID, you talk about a guy fielding offers, you talk about what Johnny went through. But then last year, I thought they were playing really well, and they just had a rough time in Denver, I think it was, against BYU. They had a bad half, and that's what happens. But a little bit of a tangent, but I do agree. But my point is, like, you got to be lucky. Like, some unlucky things happen, right? Like some things outside of your control can happen and can mess things up. Boyd can sprain his ankle in March, and that just screws everything for Wisconsin. So, yeah, It's an uphill battle for anyone to make a Final Four, especially Wisconsin, who doesn't have the NIL, but they have some pieces, and I really hope they can make a deep run this year. I think my next question I'll have, I don't have any other bold predictions. Maybe I'll throw one more out there. I'll say Nolan Winter, first team All Big Ten. I'm not backing down after these first few games. I'm predicting Nolan Winter is going to get rolling. First team Big Ten. Let's go, Nolan. I got your back, man. And I'm going to say Jack Janicki's going to have one nasty poster dunk this year, too. I'm calling that as well. He went for a dunk yesterday. Missed it,
Just
but it would have
one.
been pretty sick. Yeah, it would have been pretty sick if he would have made that. Before we move into the next topic, any other bold predictions from you, Mike?
Yeah, I think Rapp gets newcomer of the year for the Big Ten. I think they have that award, correct?
I would imagine. Actually, maybe they don't. But let's say they
I don't know,
do.
because he should get newcomer of the year, and I think there'll be 3 Badgers on all Big Ten teams this year.
All right, give me something negative that'll happen this year.
Something negative. Interesting. Something negative. Okay, I got you. I think big prediction for this year. I think this will be probably one of the worst free throw shooting Big Ten teams in the league, and I think it'll be one of the worst free throw shooting Badger teams since my senior year of college.
Yeah, you guys were ass at the free throw line.
Oh, we were rough. We shot. I think we shot like 62%, 63%. That also happens when you have a guy who shoots jump shots from the free throw line as your main free throw shooter.
You guys.
Oh, yeah. It was horrible. It was horrible.
We talked about that before. That year was a fun year though. You guys, we
won games.
Yeah, you guys won games. When you guys hit shots, you were super tough, but you guys were athletic. You were old. You were physically solid. I mean, you had Trayvon at the point. You had Ryan Evans was a 5th-year senior. Bergman was a 5th-year senior. You were a senior. You guys were athletic, physically solid, fundamentally sound. But there would be some droughts and some rough free throw shooting. Like even Ben Brust shot like 64% from the free throw line that year. Couldn't shoot free throws, but when you guys had hot games, oh my gosh, you blew Ohio State out of the water, who was a 2 seed. You beat Indiana twice, who was the most talented team in the country. You beat Michigan twice, who was probably the other most talented team in the country. And that was a lot of fun. And I'll ask you about, can you take me through that pass to Ben Brust against Michigan? Can you just, any insight behind the current you can give there?
Well, the first thing it was like an oh fuck moment, because I was supposed to foul, and I tried to foul Tim Hardaway Jr. when he hit the 3 to go ahead. So he hit a 3 on me after I went over a ball screen. I clearly swiped and fouled him, and he still got a jumper up and scored. And I remember going to going to the huddle, and I'm just like, oh man, I messed this game up. Like I was supposed to foul him, and Coach Ryan was not happy with me. And I was like, bro, I tried. Like, watch the film. Like I hacked him.
You did a step back 3 from 27 feet.
Deep after I hit him. Like I really fouled him, and they just didn't call it. And then, for me, it's the thing that I will always praise Coach Ryan for is he always had us prepared for moments, for situations. He would spend 25 minutes at the end of practices after we would get done with our possessions and playing. He always had us go through situations under 5 seconds left, under 10 seconds left, under 2 seconds left. We would have all these situations, and we have a play for each one of them. So it wasn't even like, hey, we didn't really need him to draw anything up. He had already done the work for us. We had already done the work. So for me, it was just like, all right, cool. I kind of know where I need to go with the basketball and how to get it there. Because I had made that pass before. I had made that play before. It wasn't like, oh, this is new to me. So me going through it, it was just kind of like, all right, wait and see what happens. And I was very thankful, actually, they didn't have anybody on the ball. It makes my job way easier. If they would have put Mitch McGarry on the ball, because Mitch McGarry was a giant human, if you don't remember.
He was. First round.
Yeah, if they put him on the ball, that pass becomes infinitely more difficult, especially to put it on the money. And so, we kind of knew what was happening. I knew, I've seen that coverage before too. Coach Ryan did a great job of preparing us. He said, hey, somebody's on the basketball, this is what it's going to look like. Somebody's not on the basketball, this is what you look for. So for me, it was, okay, nobody's on the ball. Okay, I have an understanding that I probably need to go to the second option. It'll be more open. And for me, throwing a half-court pass is not a big deal. I'm a bigger human, and I'm a pretty good passer. So just making that decision and putting it on the money for Ben and being able to get it to him in time was just the most important thing for me as he broke open. And I just remember after I threw the pass, I was like, okay, we're good. It got there. And then he put the dribble down, and I was like, you got to shoot it, bro.
You got to shoot it.
Yeah, something's going to happen. You got to put it up. And all of a sudden, like, he shot it. And as soon as it left her hand, I was like, interesting. That looks like a good shot. We'll see what happens. And then, I'm all of a sudden just like, oh, he hit it. I get my little joyous jump, and then I go back into the huddle, and I was like, guys, chill out. We still got to win this game.
Like, I remember you being stoic.
Yeah. I was like, cool. He hit the shot. Great. Now let's go win this game. Like we had a chance to win it. Like they're, a top team in the country. I was like, we got to win this game now. Like we can't mess this up. So came out and ended up winning the game, which was great.
Yeah. Fans, that was awesome. You made college basketball what it is. That was awesome.
Hey, fans, way to keep the Kohl Center rocking today. That was awesome. You guys made college basketball what it is. I appreciate every one of you. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, I did get to go on the microphone. The super funny thing about that is all my teammates laughed at me. They were like, Mike, you're the only one that could do that. And I'm like, well, that's true. And the other thing is Patrick Herb, the communications guy, he knows how I am. He spoke with me, especially in that time. Sometimes I have a little bit more of a foul mouth, especially if I'm excited, which clearly that was it. And he was just like, he looked at me and I didn't see him out of the corner of my eye. I didn't see anybody. I was just like, hey, this was cool. And It was funny because I looked at the guy who was running the mic and I was like, can I get on this really quick? And he was just like, yeah, sure. Here you go. Have a good time. And then Patrick was like, Mike, please don't do anything crazy. Please keep it PG. There's children in the house. And for me, it was just one of those cool moments that I got to connect with a bunch of people and let them know, like, hey, this is really fun for us. Just so you know, this is what makes college basketball great, is the fans, the enthusiasm, the youthfulness of it. So it was cool. It was an interesting moment that for me, I definitely remember fondly.
Yeah, and I was there, and I was on the court with you. I was 5'5", and I was 120 pounds at the time, and I was celebrating on the court. That was the first time I ever stormed the court. I was just a little whippersnapper running on that court, and thankfully I didn't.
Yeah, how old were you at the time?
14.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, nice. No, it's with my buddies. Unbelievable. One of the best games I've ever been to, and like. Yeah, I was just, and all the football players were there, I remember, and Melvin Gordon and James White were like having a dance off on the floor, and I saw a video afterwards, like I was like on big, like I think Brust was getting interviewed. I was right behind the like Big Ten Network interviewing him, and I was on the YouTube video or whatever of him getting interviewed, and I remember a fan made I don't know what the right word is, an obscene gesture with the foam finger while Brust was getting interviewed. And
probably.
And then I also noticed like Chris Borland was like talking to me, and I didn't even realize it was Chris Borland. He looked like a normal dude in his winter clothes, and like he's like not that tall, and I didn't realize who it was, and I was like, that was Chris Borland who was talking to me there. And I just kind of like barely was even
brushed
talking
it off.
Yeah, I was barely even talking to him. I was like, who is this random dude? Yeah.
So. I remember all the football players being there too. Bo Allen, shout out to my guy Bo Allen, another Minnesota guy, a really good friend of mine when I was in school.
Long hair brothers.
Yeah. Oh, he was so funny. He came right up to me. He's like, Bruiser, get on my shoulders. We're doing this. All right, sounds good, Bo. You can pick me up if you want, no problem. He was one of the few guys I would have trusted because he was a 300-pound physical freak. Yeah. Oh, he's more than a tank. That man is giant. So, it was fun. I remember that. Those was a good day. Good times.
Yeah, someone tells me you guys laid low and you guys were super honorable later that night.
Had no fun. Did just exactly. We went to bed. I read a book.
Yeah,
I was in bed reading by about 10:30, 11 at night. Clearly,
of course. And last two talks before we wrap this up is Mike, I do notice a little bit of back in my day, from you, just a little bit. And sometimes. I'm going to ask you, who are you taking, Austin Rapp or Keaton Nankivell?
Right
you've
now,
made that comparison. For people who don't have context, Mike has made that comparison between the two.
Right now, I'm going to take Keaton Nankivell, but I think Austin Rapp has a chance to definitely surpass him. in
Yeah.
terms of what he does. For me, Keaton was extremely athletic. I think he's more athletic than Rapp is, especially vertically. Keaton would have some nasty dunks from time to time. He'd go get some putbacks. But they're very, very comparable. They have super similar bodies, length. They shoot the ball at a high clip. But I think Rapp definitely has an opportunity to show out and be a better player than Keaton was. But both of them have very similar games, very similar builds. I think not Ethan. I keep calling him
Austin.
Ethan Happ.
Yeah,
No.
Ethan Happ.
Austin
Rapp.
I think Austin Rapp has a little bit more finishing game to him, has a little bit more bully ball into him. And he showed that he will be able to be an inside out threat or an outside in threat, as we like to say. And so for me right now, I'm taking Keaton just because of the proven body of work. But Rapp, man, he's got a chance for sure.
Yeah, and you're talking peak Nankiville at Wisconsin and whatnot.
Yeah,
and that makes sense, right? Because Rapp hasn't done anything yet. I'll just say I thought about that comparison a little bit more, and I was a huge Nankiville guy, and I really like Nankiville's game. But the big difference to me is like Nankiville is 6'8". I think Rapp is 6'9", 6'10". He's listed at 6'10". So I think there's just a little bit more length, and fluidity is the other thing. I think Rapp just has a lot more fluidity with the ball in his hands to get to the hoop, or just the way he can run off a screen like a guard, catch it, and they can run him off of screens, and he will look super fluid doing it. Nankiville could do that. I think he did a little bit of that in the pros, but he didn't necessarily do that at the college level. But I just think there's the ceiling of Rapp, I think, has the potential to be really, really high. Potential NBA player. And then Nankiville, I love Nankiville, and maybe if he was a little bit more selfish, maybe he could have, potentially been an NBA player. But I think Rapp has. I think there's a good chance Rapp will at least touch an NBA floor. He's got to get better defensively for sure and work on a few things. He's only 19 years old right now, but I do think Rapp might be an NBA player.
Yeah, I agree. He has the chance to do that. Laterally, he's got to be able to move his feet a little bit better, especially holding up on switches and everything like that, because
he needs to get low.
Switchable. Yeah,
kind of like you're saying. He needs to lock in on defense. I think that part of it's just like locking in. And, you got to work on your lateral quickness in the offseason and put the bands around your ankles and be sliding back and forth and doing all that stuff. He needs to do that for sure. But I think part of it is like he just needs to have that dog in him defensively. As much as he wants to put up 10 threes, he needs to have that same dog on the defensive end.
Yeah, I agree. And also, he's a bigger body too. That's kind of the thing is bigger bodies take a little bit more time. Every inch you get above 6'8", 6'9", and really when you get to those bodies take time to develop. It takes time to develop those muscles, those basically synapses to fire. Just because there's so much length, there's so much body there that has to move, right? So he's got to get some of that. I was also thinking about it. He reminds me a lot of Micah Potter. Also another big who can step out, and just in the sheer size and physicality like that. Those are two really good comparisons for me. So we'll see if he's only 19, like being that big and playing the way he does. He's definitely got a chance. Shooting is always at a premium, especially at the NBA level, and you can see shooting is at a premium on this team. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities to prove that. So looking forward to seeing him.
And I was a big Micah Potter guy as well. Here's the problem with that Micah Potter comparison. And I'm not saying it's a bad one necessarily, but once again, it's that fluidity is the big difference, right? Like we talked about a few weeks ago, how I told you, like, look at what Kirk Petty did at the NBA Combine and look at what Dwayne Wade did. It's a lot closer than you would ever imagine. It's just a little random fun fact. But there is something just to be said about fluidity of movement and being a fluid athlete. And Micah Potter really was not a guy who, and Rapp hasn't proven it yet, but I think he will eventually, whether it's this year or hopefully he sticks around for more than 1 year at Wisconsin. You never know in today's game. But I think he's a guy who we could see put the ball on the floor with fluidity. Potter, that just wasn't in the realm of possibilities. Like some guys have it, some guys don't. Potter could never put the ball down on the floor. And he also would shrivel up around the hoop a little bit. Like he would have a mean dunk, a poster. But sometimes when he was in the post, like he would just kind of shrivel up and put up like kind of a weaker shot and get blocked. And Potter also, I mean, not that Rapp is really great laterally, but Potter at times was a bit of a liability in the pick and roll. And I don't know
Oh, for sure.
how good Rapp will be in the pick and roll yet. I think he might struggle a little bit too. But yeah, the fluidity is the big difference, I think, between Rapp and Potter. And I'm not saying Rapp is going to be some dynamite post player, but I will say he can just move better on the court than Potter. That's the big difference between
Yeah,
the two.
he's got yeah, his functional movement and strength right now is pretty high level for his age, for sure.
Yeah. And I'll say your fluidity, and we talked about this before, got a lot better after college. And your fluidity as a hooper got a lot better. And part of that was they had you lifting like a football player in college. And then you changed up your regimen. And you became an absolute knockdown shooter. And what sucks for you is you were really shooting well heading into your senior year. You had a terrible injury. Probably should have redshirted in hindsight, and you would have been part of Final Four team, a Final Four team the next year. But Mike, does it ever bother you that you are just a totally different player as a pro than what Badger fans saw as a college player? Because you're a knockdown shooter now. You're shooting at a super high level. Your fluidity of movement. You did things as a pro that Badger fans didn't see you do.
No, not really. I think, for me, it's funny. I actually believe that the professional game fit my style of play much better than the college game. And, I people, I've made this comparison here before is the professional game is much closer to the high school basketball game than it is the college game, to the professional game, especially. And for me, it's kind of one of those things you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so the one thing that, when I was in college and especially in the Big Ten, the requirement for Big Ten power forwards and forwards in general in that front court position is you had to be really, really strong. You needed to have that. The thing that I was a little bit disappointed with is our trainers were not as advanced as I was hoping they would be. I actually got some really high level training, both physical training as well as on the court training when I was in high school. I basically went to a professional basketball academy with a guy named Chris Carr. We were doing, a bunch of band stuff. We were doing a lot of functional movement stuff. The way we lifted was completely different. I was way more athletic. And then all of a sudden I got to Wisconsin and they're like, hey, we need you to put on like 15 pounds as well as, you still got to be strong with that 15 pounds and be able to move it. And I didn't put it on correctly. I will say my nutrition wasn't quite as where it needed to be, as well as just the style of lifting. For me, I got into more Pilates and more yoga and really got into the importance of foot strength. As I've gotten older, as I've been a professional, for me, that's always one of the questions I ask trainers now is like, how much do you work on people's foot strength and foot mobility? And for me, that's one of the things that I've noticed is fluid athletes have really, really strong feet. So that's one thing that I think for me was a little bit disappointing, but overall I'm good. I was a young kid. I came in, I didn't know what I didn't know. It's always, if I would have known this back then, well, yeah, that's how that goes. That's how experience works. So for me, as I've continued through my professional career, I've had some really high level trainers. I've had some people that have helped me out a ton. In terms of how my body needs to move, how I need to lift weights, what is specifically tailored for my body. And those are things that you don't know until you have experience, until you go through them and you understand, it's a lot of trial and error. And when you're younger, you just don't have the time for trial and error. So for me, no, I'm good. I'm happy with my professional career. I'm happy with my college career. We won a bunch of games. I had great experiences. I can only look back and say, hey, this was awesome. I got to do that. That gave me a platform to continue doing what I'm doing today. And and for me, as I'm moving forward, this is, something I'm trying to look forward to is especially when I do some training for kids is I actually try and impart some of that wisdom of like, hey, what does your band regimen look like? How much time are you spending on your feet? That might be one of the funniest things is people think I'm a little bit foot obsessed. I have an issue with that. Yeah. And for me, it's not even that. It's just like, I know the importance of foot strength and how that can make you more athletic and how that can change your base, so that's some of my philosophy as I go through, the process of transitioning out of being a basketball player and more into doing some training and stuff like that. So for me, I've done that, as I've gone through my career. I've done training on the side and I'll always push that envelope and push that button when I do get in the gym with guys that are looking to get better. It's one of my biggest things. It's like, hey, how much time do you spend on your feet? How much time do you spend on your body? And that's one of the things I wish I would have been a little bit more focused on when I was younger. Is just body time, not so much court time. But like I said, I had a great career. I'm still doing it, so I'm good.
Yeah, and there's a quote. I'm gonna look it up. Wisdom, Luke Bryan. He made a good quote in one of his songs about wisdom. I forgot what it was, but just kind of like how wisdom in your youth would be a lot less fun, right? And
yeah, you don't know what you don't know,
right? But yeah, we'll wrap this up. Fun little update is I saw the Utah Jazz's G League team. They have Steven Crowell, Max Klesmit, and John Tonje. So Badger fans can go and follow that. That'll be interesting. I hope Tonje has a good NBA career. He seems like a really cool dude. So I'm definitely rooting for him and the rest of the guys. And then random, have you seen the Strawn by Science guy on Instagram, the former D3 hooper who's like who's 30? He always says like, I'm a 33-year-old dad, former D3 bench player.
Yeah, I've seen him. He's trying to play professionally now as an older guy.
Yeah.
So I've seen him, seen some of his workouts.
Like 32. Yeah.
I've seen some of his stuff.
He's a hooper though. He's a hooper. Like now he's a hooper. My buddy Tyler and I are like have a ton of respect for his game. What would happen if you and him played one-on-one?
I think it depends on how interested I am in playing.
Okay, if you're going for the win. And you're going up to 21, twos and threes, make it, take it. What's happening?
Right now, I'm definitely winning. Just depends on how we're shooting the basketball. But overall, like, I think he's a good player. I don't know how big he is.
I think he's like 6'2", but he's a tank. He's a tank. He's like 6'3", maybe.
Yeah,
I'll say 6'2".
It's more just like at that point, it just depends on how I'm really shooting the basketball that day. Just depends on what the score is. But for me, I'm winning that game.
Give me the score.
For too long.
Give me a range. 21 to what?
By twos and threes?
Yeah, make it take it.
Make it take it too? Oh, we're winning 21-8 for sure.
21-8. Got it.
He's not getting double digits. He's going to hit a couple shots. He might hit a couple overreach threes, but like if I really want to play defense and I want to actually sit down and win the game, like he's going to have to hit a lot of tough contested twos over the top of me, and that's just unless you're a high-level pro who does it often, it's not so easy.
Yeah, I get that. And I agree with that score, too. But for being a D3 bench player, what he's turned himself into, that man can hoop. That guy's a really good hooper. But last question I got for you, and this one a little bit longer than anticipated. I got to wrap this up, get to work. But who is the best player we've seen under Greg Gard? In college?
For me, it's pretty easy. John Tonje was great, but overall, like guy who got drafted in the lottery, Johnny Davis, what he did at Wisconsin with the group he did it with, right? He did it with a bunch of young guys, dragged them to, they won the Big Ten title that year, right?
Yeah, tied. They blew it against them.
Yeah, they got a share. They got a share of the Big Ten title. But overall, what he did, I remember him. I still remember the duel between him and Jaden Ivey in Purdue. Like what he did in college, he was multiple 20-point, multiple 30-point games. He was getting busy, and just in the guard era that year, if you put it into a vacuum, he was by far the best pick. The best player he's had so far. Also, being drafted in the lottery, that's not a thing. That's very challenging to do. There's 10 guys, 15 spots in the world for somebody to get drafted in the lottery, and Johnny Davis did that coming out of Wisconsin. So I would say for me, it's Johnny Davis, pretty easy. So
Johnny Davis, the best college player.
Yeah, definitely the best college player he's had come out of his program right now, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah, well, if I'm okay, so that November and December, Johnny Davis was the best player. Go January through March, and he had some really good moments, like 37 against Purdue, I think in February. But especially late in March, he started to fizzle. He did get hurt, and in hindsight, it is mind-blowing that he was the 10th pick of the draft when he shot 30% from three. He's not that good of a shooter. His form isn't that fluid, and he also can't really dribble the ball all that well. So it's actually incredible that he was the 10th pick of the draft at 6'4", without being a great shooter or a great ball handler. Unbelievable. But he was the runner-up for National Player of the Year that year. Unbelievable season. But for me, my answer for the best college player, Greg Gard, as coach is John Tonje. I would take John Tonje, that 6-year version, over sophomore Johnny Davis pretty easily. The reason why is Tonje is a bull in a china shop who could get to the free throw line at will. Johnny was more of a slithery snake, right?
Yep.
I will take the bull in the china shop over the slithery snake. Tonje was just a relentless scorer and a much better shooter, going 39% from three versus Johnny's 30. I'm rocking with John Tonje as Gard's best player that he's had so far. And any response?
I can't argue with it. He's like, Tonje was a monster. And the biggest reason why I took Davis over was the draft status and National Player of the Year stuff, and just the team he had around him and what he did with the team he had around him. He really dragged that team to wins. And for me, that was just the overall my biggest thing is the talent he had around him compared to what Tonje had. I would say was inferior, and he was able to still get them to a top 5, top 2 seed, top 3 seed in the Big Ten, everything like that. So,
yeah. And I will note, Brad also carried them a little, not carried, but he definitely helped will them to victories as well. It was a Johnny and Brad dynamic duo, and throwing junior Tyler Wall as well. But that's a good ending point. This was a great conversation. Went a lot longer than I anticipated, but it was fun. Mike, thank you for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with us. And we will see you again soon. Thanks, Mike.
All right, appreciate it.